Welcome to School and Around, a podcast hosted by Branching Minds, featuring prominent leaders, subject matter experts, and thought innovators with their perspectives on the current challenges facing K-12 education. I am your host, Larissa Napolitan, a former teacher, instructional coach, and a member of the Branching Minds team, here to lead conversations and to shine a light on phenomenal educators and those that are on a mission to transform our schools and the lives of students. Maybe you've been listening for a while, or this is your first episode. If you like what you hear, would you do us a favor by rating and reviewing us on iTunes? This is a fantastic way to tell us you enjoy what we are creating. Also, if you want more MTSS resources, sign up for our weekly newsletter using the link in our show notes, and check out our website for all the blogs and guides you would ever need about MTSS. Absenteeism remains a significant challenge for schools nationwide, yet we know there are incredible educators making a difference by fostering strong connections with students, families, and their school communities. Today, I am thrilled to highlight some of these inspiring individuals. Joining us are Todd Hartman and Jessica Skelton from Creekside Early Childhood School in Lakota Local Schools in Ohio. We're also joined by Dina Moss, who leads the MTSS initiatives for Lakota schools. Welcome to the podcast, everyone. Todd and Jessica, we are eager to hear your insights, so I'll go ahead and pass the mic to you.
Thank you so much. We appreciate the introduction, and we're so excited to be here with you today. Wherever you're tuning in from, thanks for joining us. We're going to talk about one of our favorite topics, attendance. We're coming to you from Southwest Ohio in Lakota Local Schools, like Ashley said. I'm excited to be here with my number one partner in all things Creekside.
Yes, absolutely. So we are here just to kind of share a little bit about our story, but anything that we can share with you that will help you in your situation to support students. We are so grateful and excited to be a part of that journey. So thank you guys for tuning in.
Before we dive deeply into Creekside Early Childhood School, we want to zoom out for a moment. We want to welcome Dina Moss, who supports our whole district, not just our school, our whole district with things that include attendance and many other things under the MTSS umbrella. We're so thankful to have her here, and she is going to share a little bit about our district. Welcome, Dina.
Thanks, Todd. Thanks, Jessica. So as they mentioned, we are from Southwest Ohio, and by Ohio standards, we are a pretty large district. We are the largest suburban public school in the area. Our district is made up of 23 different buildings across various grade bands, and Todd and Jessica are here to talk about their work at the K-2 level, but we have similar stories that we could share from our other grade levels. We have about 17 to 18,000 students and over 2,000 employees. We're really excited about the improvement we made in our report card data with the state, jumping to 4.5 stars with our most recent rating. And then our overall attendance rate for the district is 94%. And I think that's one that, everybody would like to see that one higher. And that's why we're here today. And we're also super proud of our diversity in our district. So we have a wide range of students with different cultures and different needs and families that we are here to celebrate every single day. And so with that, you'll see that we do have 29% students who are economically disadvantaged. About a fourth of our students are gifted, and we have about 11% English language learners. And so with all of this work, I think our partnership with Branching Minds has been a big blessing to us because we've been able to look at students at that individual level and also look at our buildings as a holistic level so we can see what different strategies are working. So each building is different, and I'm really excited for you to hear about the great things that Todd and Jessica are doing.
Thanks, Dina. So that's a look at Lakota as a district. Let's dive into Creekside for a moment. So we have about 755 kindergarten through second grade students. Mm-hmm. Creekside is a diverse population as well. We love that. We embrace that. And we consider it in the ways that we support our families, including with attendance. So we have, what is the greatest challenge your school faces in improving attendance? We're also coming to you from a K-2 lens, but Jess taught middle school for part of her career. I taught secondary for all of my teaching years. And so a lot of the things that we do could very easily be tweaked a little bit to fit middle school, to fit older elementary or high school. And hopefully you'll see that as we go through our presentation. All right. I'm excited. We're going to talk about some success data first so you hear our school a little bit more. Go ahead, Jess.
So this has been a process we've been embarking on for the last 2 years, really buttoning down these attendance concerns and jumping in to offer support, because it's not enough to identify the problem. Like, we know when kids are not coming to school, we can see their attendance record. What we really want to know is what's going to impact that positively. So through January of March of 2024, 25 out of 35 students with our highest attendance needs improved their attendance as a result of the work we've been doing. From March through May, 30 of the same 35 students improved and their attendance held for the rest of the school year, which was really exciting to see. We also saw from August of 2024 to October of 2024, so into a new school year, 76 of 91 students who qualified for our attendance army, which we'll talk about a little bit later, were able to move off to having positive attendance and not needing that same level of support. And only 6 new students were added to the attendance. From 250 new kindergartners coming in, we only added 6 new students to attendance concern list.
Absolutely. I mean, if you take out 76, but you add in 80,
right,
we're not really seeing that impact, but we love that only 6 new students were added. So we've had 488 attendance army check-ins, only 8 students qualifying for the frequency of weekly attendance army support. And again, we're going to talk about exactly what that army is and what they do. Our current average when we built this attendance for daily attendance was 95.1. And due to the intervention that our whole school team has been using for attendance support, we've only been required to have 3 absence intervention team meetings this school year.
Yeah.
We're excited about that decrease for us. This is a different way of looking at things. If you're more of a chart and bar graph kind of person, you can see how things are trending in the right direction for us since the 21-22 school year. As with pretty much anything we have from education in that 2020 to 2022, there is that asterisk of COVID, right? I'm sure you've heard of that. We dealt with that just like everybody did, but we are excited to now see the trend that our chronic absenteeism rate is decreasing. This is a yearly view, but what we're anticipating from what's happening this year and the data that's coming in right now is that bar will be even shorter next year. So at the end of this year. So we're excited about that. All right. Next, we're going to talk about some communication data. Another way of looking at things.
Yes. So we want to make sure we're having the results we look for. It doesn't matter what strategies we put in place if they're not having the desired outcome that we're hoping for. So we've had our UA teachers be our attendance army checking in with students. So that's our gym, PE, music, STEAM, those kinds of people have an extra block built into their day. And just the emails we get back from parents where they were unsure about this check-in support for their kid, but then realizing their student was coming home talking about that relationship with that UA teacher. And that was just a really fun, positive email. So we've shared that with you guys as well. I think you're up next, Mr. Hartman, with other emails for communication.
Yeah, so we have a whole collection of emails for you in this attendance. It's the 23-24 attendance chat emails.
Yeah.
So just a collection there, either to share with teachers who are going to support attendance or to use as an administrator, a school psychologist, however that works in your district. We want you to have that. So that is a collection of emails that we've sent about attendance. And then one of my favorites are Lunch and Learn.
Oh my gosh. The Lunch and Learns was so much fun. I have to be honest, the first couple we did, I was a little nervous because we were inviting parents in that we had been, hounding would probably be a more appropriate word in their vocabulary about their child's attendance and our efforts to be supportive, and inviting these people to come meet with you with other people to hear about attendance practices was a little nerve-wracking, but we've linked kind of the format we used. Our biggest thing was to show up for them and for them to see the amazing team at Creekside that is ready to support them. So we had wonderful staff support from our school liaison coming in. Our school nurse came in to answer questions about how we would handle different health pieces for a child at school, so you don't just need to keep them home so you're the only person providing care. We also had intervention specialists across the board. So we had an ESL teacher, a reading teacher, a special ed teacher, everybody there to talk about the importance of being at school to receive those services. And I think it was a great opportunity for parents to see, like, we're not trying to drive you crazy. We're trying to come alongside you and support your student, and look at this team that is ready and able to do it.
Look at this team with the versatility in the ways that we can support you based on all the roles that we have in attendance. So the Lunch and Learn feedback is for you to hear from some parents who came to that, what they thought of it.
Yeah, it was really powerful to hear parents that attendance was a struggle, whether it was because of their child having anxiety or just their own anxiety with sending their student to school, and how we were able to work through that, and just seeing that piece of a team ready and able to be there was really exciting. We also had a parent of a first grader that needed a little bit of a positive sticker chart situation to get to school 5 days in a row. As a first grader, we had not met that bar yet of coming to school 5 straight days in a row. And we were into October, I think, of first grade before we hit that. But when she was able to do that, it says she's been talking about her days for 5 days of perfect attendance and keeping track at home of her days. And you saw even more spillover from that at the conference you attended with the family.
I did. It's amazing sometimes how much a child values that certificate.
Right?
That is so fast for us to put together. Look, we're already diving into the strategies, but we're excited about it.
Yes.
So she wants that certificate. She's talking with her parent about it. And then her mom told us she's been talking about this for days and keeping track of her days. I attended a conference with that particular child's parent recently, and the teacher did a great job. Here's a strategy. She did a great job of putting together side-by-side data. Here are the weekly phonics checks that we do and how your child scored on each of those. Here is her attendance log. And so look at this particular week where she was fantastic. She only had one correction on her weekly phonics check. That was the week she was here every day. And so to be able to show that data
Such a win.
so objectively and so positively to parents, she could have said, look at all this poor data. Instead, she said, let's focus on the positive here. Can we repeat this? We also had a father of a kindergarten student say, I'm so impressed and appreciative for everything Creekside is doing to support my child's attendance and work with me to answer questions and come up with a plan. The team has been a compassionate delight to work with. It is awesome.
I think that's actually one of my favorite parts as we kind of went about this through like our our building action plan goal and looking at building teacher capacity. That has been such a neat overflow of this attendance goal because our teachers are doing this work. These quotes are not about Todd. They're not about me. They are about opportunities our team of teachers, our counselor have had to sit down with parents and get their kids to school more consistently. And it's been a really neat overflow of our attendance work to see that capacity and those teachers with the confidence to go into a conference like that with that information. It was really cool.
The building action plan has an entire goal dedicated to attendance and improving our student attendance. And we built that with our building leadership team and then our staff weighing into a draft as well. So that buy-in for our whole school to embrace the importance of our kids being at school and how we can all rally around that effort is really critical for us. It's absolutely part of our building action plan that we check in on regularly and poll our staff on how are we doing, what can we do next, what can we do differently or better. We just had that in a meeting recently.
And that staff buy-in has been excited because not only were they excited about the goal, but they've become accountable for the work. Like it's not just us doing this work. They are that first line of communication and relationship building with that student and family. And so not only are they supportive of the goal in the sense they're like, yeah, this is something we should work on, but they're accepting that challenge of it's a little less within our control, but we're going to work together to partner to make it better.
You know what you just did? You just teed up our first tier 1 strategy for me beautifully. Thank you. Thank you.
I think that's a sports reference that I won't get, so it'll be great.
It's okay. That's all right.
Okay.
All right. So tier 1 strategies, our first one, classroom teachers are the first point of contact for attendance concerns. And this was not always the culture at Creekside. In fact, we heard teachers, I don't even just want to say teachers. I'm talking about leaders in our building who are like leadership team members who said, well, attendance, that's not really my area, right? I shouldn't really be talking with a parent about attendance. That's more of an office thing. And that really made us raise our eyebrows and say, wow, okay, so that's where we are, at least some of us right now.
Good baseline information.
Right? Now, how can we grow from there? So we worked very hard to empower our staff. Not only did we talk about it, as you know, in BLT and in our staff meetings, but role playing, ideas for those conversations, things that they can say, really focused on the relationship, which I know is on this slide too. But really focusing on the relationship. Nobody in general has a closer relationship with a child than that classroom teacher they see every day. And if it's your high school folks, even with those schedules, because I was a high school teacher, there is, and there needs to be, a high school teacher in their schedule who's like, nobody has a better relationship with that child than this teacher. So there are people to tap into, and there are teachers who see the kids day in and day out. You're going to see woven in and out of this presentation, Branching Minds. We can't say enough about how much we use it. It is literally open on our tabs every day. It's there all the time. And the documentation for teachers as a point of contact, whether it's email, phone call, in-person conference, whatever it is, that goes into Branching Minds so that everybody else who's involved with that child can get on the Branching Minds platform and see notes from what has happened in the past.
And if I could also jump in with that Branching Minds tagging system, that way when a student comes into a teacher that's new for the first year, that teacher can pull her class and filter through Branching Minds looking at students with attendance concerns. So right off the bat, she knows if she's meeting with this family, that needs to be a priority for connection and setting up systems in her classroom or his or her classroom to circle back to that to support attendance, because that tag is right there right away. Also, I think the other piece we've done over the last 2 years is really educate our teachers on attendance data. I don't know how often they looked at that or even how to interpret it. I know for us, if you log into the teacher system, it's a color-coded situation and what all of those things mean and how it's impacting the students' attendance and looking at trends and their attendance data. I don't think that was a data piece they looked at often. I think they could say, oh yeah, I feel like the student misses a lot, but beyond that, I don't think that was something they could speak to. So that's been some fun work over the last 2 years.
You're right. Here we are talking about tier one. And a lot of times I think teachers pair tier one with, okay, so you're talking about reading data, or maybe you're talking about math. No, we're talking about attendance. We're talking about behavior. It all falls under that umbrella of this child's story and where they are and their background and what helps them. And what you said is so true. It's a game changer that teachers can now log into Branching Minds when they receive a child at the beginning of the year and see so much background information that helps them know where to start with support for that child and family.
It is exciting.
All right, another tier one strategy that we use is Cub Paws, because we are the Creekside Cubs.
Yes.
So we have Cub Paw stickers and Cub Paw paintings on our walls. Teachers keep Cub Paws, which are like a quarter-size sheet of laminated paper, and teachers will give their class a Cub Paw when everyone is in attendance one day. So they'll check attendance in the morning, like all teachers do anyway. Everybody's here. We earned a Cub Paw today. And then they each have their own system for if we earn 20 Cub Paws or whatever that number is, then we get some kind of a class reward that everybody has agreed on as a reinforcer.
That's been really exciting. They had pajama day and I was super bummed I wasn't invited because that is an amazing day. One of the other things we've done, knowledge is power. And we've talked about working with our teachers and building their capacity and their knowledge base for all things attendance data, and how to kind of jump into the gap there to support students. The other piece is parents. We are doing weekly communications to parents on attendance with tips and tricks for morning routines or bedtime routines, or what to say when your kid says, oh, I don't feel well and I can't go to school today, and how to navigate those conversations. And we are doing that every single week as a part of our weekly newsletter that we send out. That way parents can see exactly what tips they can use to support their cubs at home, trying to get them to school. The other thing we've done is just attendance policies. It's kind of been surprising how little people knew about what attendance policy was and how things were coded. And no, don't take a 3-week vacation in January because you're in school during that month. In fact, for kindergarten next year, we are already putting in the school calendar for our kindergarten information night coming up here in a couple of weeks. Please look at this before you schedule things, because now you have school to consider. And I think a lot of it was just being unaware. Like, they just didn't know. In a parent meeting last week, the parents like, well, we just didn't think it was a problem that he missed a week of school for vacation. Well, let's look at that academic data. Let's talk about that, because it is a problem.
Yeah. Can we parent kids when they're at home, when they leave our school? No, of course we can't. But we sure can offer guidance. We can offer influence. And it's amazing to ask parents and questions like, well, what time does your child typically go to bed at night? How much screen time do they typically have in an evening? And the people logged in here are educators, so you guys get it. The answers vary greatly.
Yes.
And so we try to offer that guidance. Our kids are younger. Our whole population is generally 5 to 8 years old, in that range. So reminding them of things like proper hand washing technique, that can really help attendance. We could eliminate a time that you would have been sick and missed a few days this year because you washed your hands well. And if you're watching and you're saying, well, we have older kids, let's be human. They don't always do the best job with hand washing and wellness reminders.
They need that
either.
reminder as well.
They do. And so our school nurse can help with that delivery. She's been on announcements before. We do televised announcements each morning to remind kids and instruct kids on how to do that. Signage in the building that shows them the step-by-step to follow as they're washing their hands. And of course, teaching and reteaching, right? Speaking of our school nurse, we get data from our district, and I know Dina is part of a team that helps provide this. And it tells us how many clinic visits we had by grade level. We can even see the student name breakdown of that. And then there's a percentage of students, and it's monthly, that returned to class from their clinic visit. That's a really helpful data point for us. It's telling us, is what we're doing in the clinic helping with what they need and then getting them back to class? And if it's not, how can we work with that classroom teacher or that family to help make that happen? Sometimes they need to go home, right? Sometimes they're sick, they need to go home. But most clinic visits, our data tells us, are not an instance where a child needs to go home.
And we're super lucky. In the K2 world, a Band-Aid and a bag of ice fix a lot for our kids. They will go back to class holding that bag of ice and be just fine for the rest of the day. Transparency with attendance data. We have been very open with our families with what that rate of attendance is. And right now we're in the same germy season as everybody else. So it doesn't look as good right now as it does in other places and at other times. But sharing that information, we just did a building action plan review with our staff where even more specific attendance data was shared. That way we could reflect on that and the things we were doing and how we, again, wanted to step into that gap to work on improving it. We're also, again, relationships. We are relationship kind of people, and you're going to hear that a lot throughout here. But that connectivity to extra people has been helpful. But tier 1, it is about friends in their classroom. Do they have a group that they've been able to find? Has their teacher made them feel comfortable in that space? That is going to be the biggest thing for that tier 1 attendance piece. Another piece that has become one of our absolute favorite things to do are celebration emails. I am really embarrassed to say I don't think I sent a celebration email for attendance before last year. And that's really unfortunate because I love all things positive reinforcement, but we are doing at quarter intervals, sending positive letters or emails to parents and families that have 90% or better attendance at school for that time period. And it's been really exciting to get a nice note about attendance in your box. It's been great.
Absolutely. You're talking about relationships. Again, the most important thing that we do, right? It's all based on relationships. We're going to go to tier 2. So tier 2 for us means increase in intensity, could be frequency, could be the level or type. It could be a lower ratio. And if you're listening and thinking, gosh, Todd, that sounds a lot like you're talking about a reading group. We really, like I said, we look at attendance in tiers and support and what kids and families need. Very similar to how we look at something like reading support. All right, so we have tier 2 strategies. Again, teacher phone calls and documentation. Those calls that might go out a little more frequently might be, they're certainly personalized, right? Those are going to be documented in Branching Minds. We're keeping track of those. And it's not just teacher, it's us, it's counselor, it's school nurse, whoever it's coming from, it's documented for the whole team to see in Branching Minds. The monthly attendance army check-ins, we're going to need to dive in. This is a new thing for us this year. If you see us geeking out, we're just really excited about this.
That's an accurate term.
So our special area or UA schedule, which I'm a former special area teacher, I love this. Our special area schedule is such that there are pockets of time each day. They're not often, but here and there are pockets of time for each of our unified arts or special area teachers where they have an opening. And we have chosen as a building to capitalize on that with something called the Attendance Army. They are in our attendance army, and we're so thankful for them. Full transparency, some of the teammates were more excited than others when we launched this.
That was a hard sell. For sure. I think when they saw the schedule, they're like, oh, look at these open blocks we have. They're extra time. They had no idea we had plans for that time. And it was breaking down some of their own personal barriers. Like one of them was just like, I don't want to make phone calls. I don't like making phone calls. And I'm like, okay, how can we support this without you making phone calls? So we were able to work through. But at the end of the day, it's about connecting with kids. And these are people that our kids know because they see them once every 8 days or 3 days, depending on what the area is. And so they were people they already had somewhat of a relationship with, and now they have an even better one. And just helping them, and it took a lot of meetings to begin with. Now we only do about once a month, and I check in really quick, and then I get to go away. So it's a lot better. I think they're more comfortable. They're seeing the success of it. And even to the point where like a child is having successful attendance data, so doesn't quite need that frequencies. It's like, no, wait, we can't just take them away. We've got to keep them. So that's how we kind of tweaked the plan as we went, because we needed less common check-ins, but they weren't quite ready to let go of the relationships that they made. It was really exciting.
Let's talk for a minute about what this looks like and sounds like in our school in case anybody wants to do something similar. Mm-hmm. So our UA teachers, as we said, they have those blocks of time, and maybe for you, it's a different person or group of people. Mm-hmm. For us, that's what it was. And they go, if you're walking through our building, you're going to see a UA teacher with a child talking. Usually it's just in the hallway outside their room. There's a table there, or there's a little area to sit down and talk. And I hear things like, how's your day going? I'm so glad you're here. Look at the chart that we have. Look, you've been here 3 days in a row. Or sometimes it's, I came to check on you the other day and you weren't here. Is everything going okay? I really missed our check-in. It comes back to relationship, mm-hmm. and we use those as an opportunity to connect. And I think the number we said earlier was 488.
So we are now at like 616.
Can you talk about how we track that simply?
Yes. So I am a data nerd. We talked about us geeking out on things. Data is my jam. I love looking at it. And so I wanted to be able to track that our teachers were doing this, not because I questioned that they were doing it, but because I wanted people to know the effort that's been put into building relationship with that student. So we have a Google form that our teachers fill out. And after they've checked in with the child, they just put in the date that they checked in with the child. They talk about what they did, or maybe something they learned. If the child wasn't here, that's another valuable piece of data, that they went to do their check-in and the child wasn't there. When they're finished submitting that form, I download them and upload them into Branching Minds. So for any student that has an attendance check-in piece, you can see how many times they were met with. Hopefully you see that there's less check-ins as we go, which is exciting. But it was just a quick piece of data, for one, to remind the team that they checked in with that person and this is what they talked about. Because one of my favorite things is for them being able to loop back to something that was shared in a previous check-in. Like, hey, how was that birthday party you went to? Because it was shared about something the student was excited about, and being able to have that information and go back. It also is valuable with the way our grade bands are. We only get the kids for 3 years. They're with us for 3 years, and then they go to the next building for 4. So there's a lot of transition within our building. So I know the schools that we feed into, they're not going to know that student. They're going to be able to see the tag. They're going to be able to see the child has an attendance concern, but I want them to see the tremendous effort and value the team placed on getting that student connected to school. And by uploading those check-in forms, we've been able to do that.
And what reinforces with those teachers or helps the others come on board? The needle is moving.
It's moving.
We're seeing it. We're seeing kids who did qualify for attendance army and now qualify for less or no check-ins at all. And so as they see that needle move, it helps them say, oh my gosh, we're making this impact. This is working.
Reaching out to them directly. One of my favorite emails is a parent that really just was able to share what a positive impact it is. I'm like, nope, it's check-in day. I know my check-in day is day F in the rotation, and Miss whoever is going to come see me. And they were so excited that they couldn't stay home from school that day. They had to get there for that check-in. And it became something else the student looked forward to. And this was the teacher who was terrified to communicate with parents about attendance. So it was like a win for her confidence, a win for the student's confidence, and their attendance is better.
Yeah. And I think if the needle hadn't moved, what if it hadn't? We're glad it did. Well, just like any intervention, we would tweak, right? We wouldn't continue with the teachers like, we're just going to keep doing it. If we'd given it enough time to take effect as an intervention and it wasn't working, we would shift.
Absolutely. And that kind of comes to some of the next things we have, where we're talking about using our community liaison to remove barriers. Sometimes it's as simple as transportation. And okay, let's talk about that bus schedule. What do we need to do to get you guys ready to get on the bus so you're here at school? Because once you miss the bus, you don't have transportation to get here. So that's exciting. Sometimes it's breakfast. Like the student needs breakfast before they get here, and maybe they're taking and lollygagging and taking an hour to eat. Set timers. Sometimes it's very easy, small tweaks that just set everybody up for success.
Mm-hmm. All right. So we have our collection of attendance letters.
We do.
Right. And you've written most of those. Full transparency.
Full transparency. Myself with Copilot has written those, and it's been a great use of time. Those are also uploaded into Branching Minds for students that have them. The mass upload is a great tool for me, being able to do that all at one time. So you can see, again, those celebration emails for students for improved attendance. And those are really fun letters to send. Like, hey, I'm noticing you're putting in that effort. We can see the child's attendance improved. You scheduled that doctor's appointment at 4:00 and they only had to leave an hour early instead of missing the whole day. Great job. So we've been doing a lot of those conversations. So it's been fun.
The last thing I want to highlight on is our Check and Connect one-stop shop resource. I had to slow down to get all those words just right.
Yeah.
We built this with our PBIS team at Creekside. So this is not a one-person effort. As with most really good things, there was collaboration, right? That's where we get the best results. So we would love to share this with you. In fact, we're sharing it.
Yes.
I think Ashley just
Everything's
did.
linked. Thank you.
So please feel free to use this. You can make a copy and make it your own. A lot of times it's built for, our PBIS type things are built for behavior, but we also use this in our school for attendance intervention when we think it'll help a child. It's a template. It's actually multiple templates so that you have a really quick and easy starting point for how you could create a document that would help track progress toward goals. And you can change any of the information you need to make it specific to the goal that a child might have. It's been a good resource for us for attendance. It's also helped us key into what is the reinforcer that matters to this child? Like what is it we can get? We talked about the certificate earlier.
Right.
Maybe it's some basketball time. Maybe it's Cub Cash, which is our school currency. Whatever it might be for that child that's going to help inspire them to reach their goals and work toward those goals. That's what we use it for. And of course, we upload those into Branching Minds as well.
We do.
All right. Are you ready for tier 3?
I am ready for tier 3 because it's exciting. All right, individualized attendance plans and meetings. Those have been interesting. And it's funny, going into each meeting, I think we've done something a little different. We kind of have an attendance plan template, and that is there for you as well. But we've definitely tweaked it based on the needs of the students. I met with a family yesterday, and it was for 2 of their students that had attendance concerns and moving through those things. But at the end of the day, it's about problem solving. It's like, can we talk about what is keeping you from having your child here? We have our classroom teacher there. Our counselor is a great component to those meetings as well. And depending on the needs of the student, we've also had our school nurse there as well to support those meetings. But I think the biggest thing is it's just individualized. It's what does that child and that family need? It's not just this sterile everyone's going to get a one-size-fit-all attendance plan. It's very specific to that child.
And what I see here too is school nurse, counselor, school community liaison. As I'm listening to you, I'm thinking these are people with different roles. So clearly you're trying to bring all the people to the table that my child could need. And it could be specific invites, or it could be a more overall thing like your lunch and learns that are, we're going to bring them all so that as the questions arise, we've got the teammate here who can give you support right now.
And it's all people that love your kid. These are all people that are showing up for that kid. I think that's one of the things that's my favorite about the team of people we have to work with. Our liaison is not in our building every day. Unfortunately, we have to share her, but she knows the kid. Before she comes to sit down to a meeting with those parents, she's checked in with that child. She's introduced herself to that child. So we are all coming from a place of, we know your child, they're not a number, and we're here to talk about ways of help.
We've already talked about the certificate, and I just talked a little bit about individualized incentives. Whatever it is that's going to motivate that child, whether you're doing some kind of an assessment of, do you like this or that? Do you prefer this or that? Or usually for us, it's just through conversation and figuring out what their interests are. We had a student who was super fired up because his folder for tracking attendance is blue and has stickers of football helmets on it. All right, man, if that's what it is that is going to help inspire you to be at school every day because that's your favorite color and you love football helmets, we will build that for you. And we have some too, like one comes to mind right away that really tugs on my heartstrings, right? A child who's had a very rough upbringing and background so far in his 7 years of life. And I'm sure you're picturing a kid right now too. But that child just wants to connect. Like he wants to throw a football with me. Great. I would love to do that. Let's throw a football back and forth. That can be your thing you work toward. Awesome.
And I will say that's probably my favorite part of being in the car line in the mornings, no matter it's -20 or whatever the feels like is, you get all warmed up with those hugs from the kids. And one of the things I say every morning, multiple times to every little card, we are so happy you're here today. Come on in. And then we have skeleton squeezes, which are a skeleton hug, which are so much better than a normal hug, just to greet some of those kids because they need that. And same with Todd, we have kids that we each check in with that we know better than others. And some of them just need that to get their day set right and that we are their safe place. And I think the biggest thing is letting them know they're wanted, they're safe, and we are so happy to see them every day has been tremendously helpful, but especially in these tier 3 type situations. Another thing that we've done is House Bill 410 letters. Those are all of our attendance laws in education as far as attending school. I will say we send multiple letters before those letters come. Those letters start at 40 hours of missed school or consecutive hours. We have contacted families at least 3 times before they get one of those. So our House Bill 410 letters, we only sent 6 of them this month, which is amazing. But we've sent many more. Like I'm mass uploading attendance letters to that top 10 or to those tier at like the 100 student level. And that's way before House Bill 410, just to be proactive in that preventative spot to live to get students to school, which is exciting. And those are all the letters that are shared with you guys. Again, they are documented in Branching Minds, so you can see those. The other piece that's been really helpful is our school-based therapist and our counselor and our nurse and their collaboration. That is an extra layer that we've added this time. Connecting students with anxiety about coming to school or being at school or separated from families has been helpful with our school-based therapist. But even since then, our school counselor is now checking in with our nurse for those frequent flyers, those students that end up in the nurse on a little more regular basis than others, and just see what is going on. Like, why is that happening? How can we support that student to make sure that they're not ending up at the nurse and then going home? Like, why don't they want to be in the classroom? Why aren't they able to be in the classroom? How can we work that out? And that's been a really exciting development over the last couple of months.
That's a good example of something new to us as we continue to try to make new efforts and continue to try to increase attendance. We've talked about the lunch and learn. I just love the convenience of that for parents.
It is, yeah.
Like it's often, we're talking about parents often who would have a hard time coming into school. They can just Zoom during their lunchtime. If they're able to put their lunch break there. We want your camera on, but you know what? If you feel better to have it off and you're going to listen, great. That's fine. So those are some tier 3 strategies we use. All right, for next steps and ideas for us, whole school attendance celebrations, something we haven't gotten into beyond the classroom. So we're working on that idea with our team, district-wide procedures, like I mentioned, for those homeland visits and extended vacations.
Yeah.
We're going to keep Zooming with parents. It's so important to keep offering that attendance support. And then the more we can individualize positive reinforcements for our students who are struggling greatly with attendance, the more we build the bank of those that we offer and be able to tailor to individual kids.
Thank you so much, Todd and Jessica and Dina. You are all amazing and you do such great work. And we are just so lucky to partner with you in all the work that you're doing. And we just hope you have a great rest of your school year.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks
you
everybody.
Guys.
Thanks for listening to Schoolin' Around, a podcast hosted by Branching Minds. Go ahead and subscribe to our feed wherever you listen to podcasts. And don't forget, if you are enjoying our content, would you do us a favor and rate and review our podcast on iTunes? This helps others find our podcast and lets us know how much you love what we're creating. Branching Minds is an educational technology company using learning sciences and technology to help districts effectively personalize learning through MTSS. To learn more about us, check out our website, branchingminds.com, or follow us on Twitter, Facebook, or LinkedIn @Branching Minds.